Welcome back. It's almost time to start school, isn't it? Oh no! Well, remember last week we read the hardest word, all about having to say sorry when you mess up. Well, there's also something else that's hard to do. And we're going to read a book about that today. Alexander, who's not, do you hear me, I mean it, going to move. Written by Judith Viorst. Illustrations by Robin Price Glasser in the style of Ray Cruz. This book is one of the sequels to Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, also written by Judith, more than 50 years ago. Judith is now 91 years old, and she has 3 grown sons, Nicholas, Anthony, and Alexander. Yes, Alexander. Here's a picture of Judith and Alexander way back when. And now here's a picture of Alexander 7 years ago with his 3 kids reading one of his mom's books. Robin was a soloist with the Pennsylvania Ballet for 8 years before becoming an illustrator. The original illustrator of the first Alexander book, Ray Cruz, was not able to work on this sequel, so she did the pictures in the same style that he used for the first Alexander book. So let's read. They can't make me pack my baseball mitt or my I Love Dinosaurs sweatshirt or my cowboy boots. They can't make me pack my ice skates, my jeans with 8 zippers, my compass, my radio, or my stuffed pig. My dad is packing. My mom is packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing. I'm not packing. I'm not going to move. My dad says we have to move to where his new job is. That job is 1,000 miles away. My mom says we have to move to where our new house is. That house is 1,000 miles away. Right next door to the new house, there's a boy who is Anthony's age. Down the street, there's a boy the same age as Nick. There's no one next door or down the street or maybe for 1,000 miles who is my age. I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. I'm not going to move. I'll never have a best friend like Paul again. I'll never have a great sitter like Rachel again. I'll never have my soccer team or my carpool again. I'll never have kids who know me, except my brothers, and sometimes they don't want to know me. I'm not packing. I'm not going to move. Nick says I'm a fool and should get a brain transplant. Anthony says I'm being immature. My mom and my dad say that after a while I'll get used to living 1,000 miles from everything. Never. Not ever. No way. N-O. I maybe could stay here and live with the Baldwins. They've got a dog. I always wanted a dog. I maybe could stay here and live with the Rooneys. They've got 6 girls. They've always wanted one boy. I maybe could stay here and live with Mr. and Mrs. Oberdorfer. They always give great treats on Halloween. I maybe could stay here and live by myself in maybe a tree house, or maybe a tent, or maybe a cave. Nick says I could live in the zoo with all the other animals. Anthony says I'm being immature. My dad says I should take a last look at all my special places. I'm taking a look, but it won't be my last. I looked at the Rooney's roof, which I once climbed out on, but then I couldn't climb back in until the fire department came and helped me. I looked at Pearson's drugstore, where they once said my mom had to pay them $80 when I threw a ball in the air that I almost caught. I looked at the lot next to Albert's house, where I once and for all learned to tell which was poison ivy. I looked at my school, where even Mrs. Knoop, the teacher I once spilled the goldfish bowl on, said she'd miss me. I looked at my special places, where a lot of different things happened. Not just different bad, but different good. Like winning that sack race. Like finding that flashlight. Like spitting farther than Jack 3 times in a row. Like selling so much lemonade that my dad said I'd probably have to pay taxes. My dad was just making jokes about paying taxes. I wish he was just making jokes about me having to move. I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. Going to move. Nick says I'm acting like a puke face. Anthony says I'm being immature. My mom says to say a last goodbye to all my special people. I'm saying goodbye, but it won't be my last. I said goodbye to my friends, especially Paul, who is almost like having another brother, except he doesn't say puke face or immature. I said goodbye to my neighbors, especially Susie, who is almost like having a dog, except she's the Baldwin's dog instead of mine. I said goodbye to Rachel, who taught me to stand on my head and whistle with 2 fingers, but she says don't try to do both at the same time. I said goodbye to Seymour the cleaners, who, even if it's gum wrappers or an old tooth, always saves me the stuff I leave in my pockets. I said a lot of goodbyes to a lot of people and got a lot of hugs and kisses, enough hugs and kisses to last for a person's whole life. I said a lot of goodbyes, except I'm staying right here. I'm not going to move. When the movers come to put my bedroom furniture on their truck, maybe I'll barricade my bedroom door. When my dad wants to tie my bicycle to the roof rack on top of the station wagon, maybe I'll lock up my bike and bury the key. When my mom says, "Finish packing up, it's time for us to get going," maybe she'll look around and she won't see me. I know places to hide where they'd never find me. Like behind the racks of clothes at Seymour the cleaner's. Like underneath a piano in Eddie's basement. Like inside the pickle barrel at Friendly's Market. Or maybe I could hide in the weeds in the lot next to Albert's house, now that I know how to tell which is poison ivy. I'd rather have poison ivy than have to move. My dad says it might take a while, but I'll find a new soccer team. He says it might take a while, but I'll find boys my age. He also says that when a person moves away, his father might need to let him get a dog to be his friend until he makes some people friends. I think that Schwoozy 2 would be a good name. My mom says it might take a while, but we'll find a great sitter. She says it might take a while, but we'll find cleaners who even saves gum wrappers and old teeth. She also says that sometimes when a person moves away, his mother might let him call his best friend long distance. I already know the telephone number by heart. Paul gave me a baseball cap. Rachel gave me a backpack that glows in the dark. Mr. and Mrs. Oberdorfer gave us treats to eat for 1,000 miles. Nick says, if I'm lonesome in my new room all by myself, he might let me sleep with him for a little while. Anthony says that Nick is being mature. My dad is packing. My mom is packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing. I don't like it, but I'm packing too. They better not try to move any more when we get where we're going to go. Because this is the last time I'll do it. The next time, they won't make me do it. Never. Not ever. No way. N-O. I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. Going to move. The end. So if you ever had to do something you did not want to do, like poor Alexander, he had to move 1,000 miles away, and there was nobody his age, supposedly, near his new house. And in the end, he had to do it. You know, he might have been praying, God, I don't want to move, right? I don't want to move. And he didn't get the answer that he wanted. Well, obviously, praying is not like magic. We don't just ask God for things and always get, yes, I'll do that for you right away. Sometimes God says yes. Sometimes God says no. And sometimes God says, not now. You're going to have to wait. And though since he doesn't say those words to us out loud, we kind of have to wait and see what happens. But we can trust that God knows what we need, and that sometimes those no's can turn into good things. Never forget, God loves you, and He is always with us. So I'll see you next week, and we'll have another cool story. Okay?